Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Spawncast episode 421. I think we're waiting for OJ right now. Celia is having a birthday party. So shout out to Celia.
I think that's
right?
what she said.
I think that's what she was doing. She's doing birthday celebration stuff. So she was all over the place last weekend because we did like too many games and stuff. So she was like across the country, then back, and she did stream Thursday. Yes, she streamed a day before 4th of July. So she did have a stream on Game and Talk. She played Pokemon Silver.
She did.
She was drawing Pokemon for people. Yeah. So it was a whole thing. She streamed for like 2 hours, and it's up there. People can go check it out if they want to say hi to Celia. You can. But for now, OJ will pop in. And of course,
I don't know. People in the chat are saying there wasn't a pre-show. So
oh wow, I don't know. Maybe OJ's got something going on. Okay, that's fine too. But I still got some people to get. There's a lot of stuff that I wanted to go over that I thought was very interesting in the with all the. It's been an interesting week online. It's been very interesting in social media.
Very fun.
So I of course had to bring in RGT85. Sean's with us tonight.
Because I'm the only one who would show up. I was supposed to go to my uncle's. I was supposed to go to my uncle's house because he's doing a party, but I didn't feel like it.
Oh, that's fine. I mean, I was gonna see if somebody else wanted to like a guest or something, but I also realized it's just that 4th of July weekend. So I was like, maybe we'll just do a nice quiet back from too many games, almost hangover stream for Sean.
I was up before everyone else was on Saturday morning at 8:30.
Crashed way before we all did too.
Bullshit.
We had to bang on your door to wake you up.
That was Saturday.
Yeah, the night before he was out. He was screaming at his phone at like 1 a.m. or something.
Oh, Jesus.
That was a drunk stream.
He was like singing to his phone. It was good. TMG was pretty good though overall. I gotta say it was a good time. It was. I think Saturday was probably the day that went by the fastest. Like as soon as we got to the convention, it was just something was happening all the way up until it was dinner time, basically.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like that's the thing. And it's okay because Saturday when we did try to walk through that marketplace the 1 or 2 times, dude, it was like shoulder to shoulder impossible to like get through. Like you just weren't. So it was the day that was the big deal.
Sunday was pretty chill though.
Sunday was good for just being able to go around the marketplace without a massive crowd of people. But like Saturday tested the limits of the AC in that place. Like it was getting warm in that marketplace.
Well,
wow.
I'm pretty sure they were trying to smoke us out of the hotel lobby Saturday night. I think they turned off the AC and they're like, "Get these motherfuckers out of here."
So humid in that lobby. It was so bad.
That was hell. And like it was exactly the same outside. So that was like I was pouring sweat.
Dude, when we left at like I think we were leaving between 1:30 and 2, there's still a large crowd there. I'm like, geez, how long are people gonna be here for? Like,
yeah, I don't
they gotta test the security guard, how long he's gonna be up. 4 a.m. I don't know. That was interesting. But yeah, too many games was fun. It's good to see a lot of people come out too. Panel was good. We should have the panel posted probably this week coming up. We got Josie was kind enough to bring an SSD that we could have. It's like 100 gigabytes of stuff that got thrown onto it. So she also did a lot of vlogging and behind the scenes footage. So I think she'll also have some of that cut in as well. So it should be fun. There'll be a lot of behind the scenes stuff. So, how do you feel about RGT making you sleep on the floor when you had an extra bed? I slept on the floor one night and Ryan slept on the floor the other night. I actually don't mind it. One year I had like an entire suite. And I was like, this is fine. Maybe next year I'll do that again, but I don't mind sleeping on like the floor or anything.
What is wrong with you? Just say, hey, I need 4 rooms. And you know what they'd say? Okay. And
you don't think it was weird? You don't think it was weird you had 2 beds in your room?
I don't know why I had 2 beds in my room.
I know why.
Why?
Because someone was supposed to sleep there with you.
Nobody told me that. I said I wanted a room by myself. And nobody's told me that. So unless a convention organizer lets me know that I'm supposed to share, I will not be sharing. And if I am supposed to share, I will not be going. I get my own room. I need my peace and quiet.
I'm surprised you didn't move over to that bed after all the partying that happened on your other bed with Beerio Kart.
Well, no, it was both beds got sat on.
It was it was a good time. I will say the hotel we ended up going to was kind of nice. I mean, had the foosball table down there and stuff. It was a weird situation where the first room, the AC unit, was just completely apart. I don't know what that was about, and they had to give us another room.
But the shower flooded. That was fantastic.
The shower, yeah, water was like coming out of the door. Like, what is this?
I got water all over my floor too. Are you supposed to put the curtain in or out of the shower?
This wasn't curtain. This was glass window, but they didn't water seal like a corner on it, so it just kept coming out.
Yeah, I mean, like the shower, all that stuff was nice because, as you mentioned, it's like glass door and stuff.
Yeah, it's nice.
They didn't seal
except
it.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, they didn't seal part of it. I mean, it's not my problem now.
Yeah, the water damage isn't our problem.
Yeah, I was gonna say, not me. You know what I mean? But otherwise, overall, fun weekend. We'll be back again next year in June, so that'll be good there. Let's see. Did have a lot of stuff down for this week, and you know what we're gonna go to? We're just gonna start with the obvious thing, which was the Microsoft layoffs, because this went crazy online. So we had like back to back. It's like whiplash. We had this, then we had the news with Sony and Microsoft. So we'll start with the layoff stuff. Because there's multifaceted. There's a lot of stuff happening here. We had right away. I mean, they come out and say that Perfect Dark is canceled. The initiative is closed down. And then we start hearing from all these different spots in Microsoft, specifically for the gaming side, that people were being laid off. And it was like they were finding out that their Slack account was being suspended and then canceled and cut off, and they weren't able to log in. So it sounded like chaos behind the scenes there. But the big thing we learned is that Everwild was canceled, which I don't know how many people out there are like, oh, I can't believe it. Everwild got canceled. I think a lot of people are like, yeah, it's a shame, but I kind of saw it. Yeah, exactly. It's like, I mean, okay, like we didn't really know what to take from that game when they showed it. And it sounded like when they first showed it, they didn't even have a concept for the game. They just wanted to tell us that it's like they came up with the title and maybe the art style, and that was kind of it. So anyway, that did happen. Everwild canceled. Part of Rare gets laid off, specifically the team with Everwild, which is like a 35-year vet that was leading that team that's gone now. Which funny enough will come back to what might end up working out for MVG in the long run there. But Perfect Dark, man, that was like the headline. They cancel Perfect Dark and they shut down the initiative. The initiative was formed 7 years ago. And that was like their big homegrown studio. Hey, we're buying all these studios, but we can make one. Let's make the initiative. And they put it right in the middle of Santa Monica over in California so they can hire up talent. And they were hiring up constantly. People from like Sony were going here. So this was a big studio that they were trying to like go almost quad A was like the joke for a while there. But it's gone now. Perfect Dark's canceled. This one hit hard. This one did some damage online. Sean, you were not happy.
Pissed. Yeah, I was pissed. I've gone on record, and you could watch any video that I've talked about Perfect Dark, that I was very excited for that game. It's a weird franchise in which we've had 2 games. One was really good, one was not so good, but there's some nostalgia for it. It looked pretty. But it seemed like this was going to be like, it's such an easy concept. Like, I don't understand like what we're having trouble with. This isn't like a new IP or something like that. You have established characters, you have established lore, you have 2 games that shared similarities, but also were different to sort of pull from to see, okay, well, what did people like and what did people not like from, the previous games? And to create a studio, hire up all these people, show it off last year to the next year, you've canceled it is disgusting. It's disgusting is what it is. Like, that's the best word that I have for it. And to me, I feel like, you have to scrutinize every Xbox announcement much more than you have before in the past. It used to be, oh, I wonder if this game is coming to PlayStation. Now you have to wonder, oh, I wonder if this game is coming out. because Perfect Dark is a headline. I know it doesn't necessarily carry the same weight as it did back in the day, but it was being presented at the very least, even if you take away the nostalgia of Perfect Dark, it was being presented as a key headline title. And if you can get rid of a key headline title, you can get rid of anything. You can cancel anything. And it shows that Microsoft does not care. I don't know how you lay off, how you talk about a new fucking console, and then 2 weeks later you talk about 9,000 people lost their jobs. We're closing down all of these studios. We're canceling all of these games, because Perfect Dark wasn't the only game that was canceled. Everwild was canceled. Romero Games had funding pulled. Looks like they're going to shutter. Turn 10 as well, which I'm sure we'll talk about. Key franchises and, key IPs, if they're on the chopping block, and it's just, how do you ship a game like Redfall? But Perfect Dark, no, this is where we draw the line. Perfect Dark could have been an absolute piece of shit. It would have been more enjoyable than Redfall. It would have had more players than Redfall. Like, I don't know. They need to gut Xbox, like gut the higher ups, because whatever Phil, Sarah, and Matt are doing, it's not working. You had that developer come out and talk about how Game Pass isn't sustainable, and everyone was like, what? Oh, that's crazy. The developer said it. It's like, bro, people have been saying that forever. Like, it generates money, yes, but that the figures that they talk about are not profit. It's gross, not net. We don't know net. So I don't know. There's a lot of issues, but I think the main thing to me is the fact that Xbox, has become a much more niche brand over the past 2 generations. You look at the system sales, you look at things like that. It's definitely become a more dedicated audience. And I feel like you can only fuck over that dedicated audience so much, because the casual person, like, yeah, there are some casual Xbox fans, but for the most part, what are they buying? A PlayStation. If you're canceling games that your dedicated fan base wants, at some point in time, you're going to lose your fan base.
Yeah. And especially since Perfect Dark, I know we talk about like Everwild or the Double Fine game where you're a treehouse or something. Perfect Dark is, when we looked at it, one of the most Xbox looking video games, because it's that first person shooter. And look, that's the Xbox's, it's been the Xbox identity for a while. It's like, people say it's the dude bro shooter platform. And I mean, it kind of is. Shooters tend to do better than just about anything else on the platform. Like Destiny 2 is still one of the most played games on the system years and years later. So something like Perfect Dark, to me, feels like a game. Like, it doesn't even have to be a game of the year contender or something. If it's fun and you put it out and it has a multiplayer game that doesn't have to be live service, it can just be a arena style shooter like the old days. It's a game that I think with limited scope could still be a lot of fun and live up to what we want out of Perfect Dark. And when they were showing I thought that the trailer clearly was well done when they first presented it to us. Cause if you go back and look at reactions during Keeley's show, people were like, it's like that reaction that they've wanted to have for some of their franchises for a while that you get out of a Sony or a Nintendo. People were like hyped when they saw the Datadyne, like the big logo statue thing when it's going up there on the top, and you see Joanna come out. It's like people were losing their mind. So they had a lot of that behind it, but man, it just seems like the initiative couldn't get on the same page. People were in and out of that studio constantly. And at that point, it does kind of feel like that's Microsoft and Matt Booty. And
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Who's in charge of these studios? Why are games like Redfall that are undercooked? Why are games like Halo Infinite launching that are clearly undercooked in terms of multiplayer, which a lot of people play Halo for? Even the last Forza Motorsports was a little bit undercooked. All of these games seemed to be very undercooked. I would say the outlier was Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones, front to back, was a very complete experience. But that should be the standard, not the outlier. It seems like upper management at these company at Xbox is fucking terrible, and they just want to, take your time. Like, bro, like, I get it. It's 2025. Everyone wants kumbaya and shit. Sometimes you got to put your foot down and be like, all right, we need to get this done. Okay, we need to figure out what we're doing here. because like this has been going on for too long. What's the problem? How can we fix this? You know, where's the disconnect? This, that, and the other. And it just seems like a very weird workspace at Xbox. And now you're seeing the results of that, much like the Concord situation. You know, it was a kumbaya. Everyone, oh, this is so awesome. This is so awesome. And then what happened? The game came out. Nobody liked it. And the studio shut down. So would you rather get your feelings hurt a little bit and have to work a little bit harder and have a job and have something to show for it? Or would you rather lose your job, but, you know, your feelings are okay? Like, I don't know. To me, I would rather, you know, have a job, but.
I want to point this out since people are asking, where is it? People are asking who gifted a membership to me. That would be Fransby. Said Phil is trying to take my Skyrims away. Please send help. It's Todd Howard. But shout out to Fransby. Yes,
he gifted 50 to me yesterday.
Right there. So if you got a membership randomly gifted to you in the chat, it's Fransby who did so, and you should be dropping a thank you to Fransby. So shout out to Fransby, okay, in the chat. So drop some thanks to him for that. Shout out to Fransby. May or may not be Todd Howard. We're not sure, but this is that's the thing with Microsoft. How many times we question sort of the management there with this, right? And it comes up all the time. It really does. It's like what's going on there with Matt Booty and you'd have to throw Sarah Bond into the mix and Phil Spencer. It just seems like, man, they're just all over the place. Because people pointed out, they said, "Whoa, hold on, Phil Spencer was on the Xbox Era podcast 5 months ago and was like, man, Everwild is going well. Oh my gosh, they got it figured out over there. It's great."
It's almost like he's a pathological liar.
I almost feel like he's trying to run this Xbox division, and I keep feeling like he's getting overruled over his head now, and he has to come back and look like an idiot now half the time. Recently, I'll say that. Before that, though, there are cases where, yeah, he probably messed up or said it's that sense of we know Nintendo and Sony don't talk much anymore, and while it can be annoying because we want to know what's happening, it also keeps them from these kind of situations where you just completely like stumble over something you said 5 months ago.
Well, I mean, and you can go into the whole parasocial relationship thing that they have with a lot of people in the end. Like these people you should not be having lunch or dinner with Phil Spencer as a fan, as a fan of Xbox. Like it's just very weird to me. And you know, a lot of those people caught heat, and you know, rightfully so. If you're going to sit there, no, because you have to take the good with the bad. And now that these people are forced, because, you know, the mental gymnastics, the goalpost moving, you could do that with most things when it came to Xbox. But when you have people that were telling you, oh, yeah, I mean, Phil Spencer, look at his freaking email that he sent out. You know, Xbox, we're doing better than ever. Everything's looking great, but we got to let you go.
Yeah, and what was that about?
And a bunch of your friends. Like, who wrote this? Why would you write that? Like, you don't fucking glaze yourself and your company and then say we have to let all these people go. Like, the parasocial relationships, I think, did a lot of damage as well, especially in the online scene of it, at least. And, you know, that online scene is a big part of Xbox, I feel. And now a lot of these people they are without, you know, a home. like I said in today's video, bro, console wars are over. Y'all got to put your swords and shields down. Y'all got to stop this capping for these companies, because these companies are going to do whatever the fuck they want, whether it makes sense to us or not, because it's not about me. It's not about you. It's not about this, that, or the other. It's about shareholders.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. That memo was really weird.
It was horrible.
It was.
I don't know who approved it.
It was HR as hell. Like it just felt so stupid. Like the people who were like, "Oh yeah, fire them on this day because it's just easier." It's like it's never easier. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean, people had to go over the story broke about these layoffs being crazy last week, so it was like Thursday or something, and people then at Microsoft had to go through the entire weekend trying to figure out if they're going to have a job on Monday or Tuesday. And then turns out it was like Wednesday when everything really hit, you know, before the 4th of July weekend. And it's like, man,
it was like there was
cold-blooded business.
There was no warning. And I don't know if you've paid attention to the video game industry, but there's not 9,000 jobs just out there right now for people. Like the industry is very volatile, I would say, is a good way to describe, stuff like that. And, some companies, of course, extended an olive branch, like, oh yeah, we're hiring a few people, but there's going to be a lot of people that I don't know what they're going to do. And, like when you see when you see people talking about how great Xbox is, and then they're, sending messages to people about them losing their jobs, it's kind of like, and then the next day when Helldivers gets announced, Helldivers coming to Xbox, we're back, baby. It's like, come on, man. Come on, read the fucking room.
No, that is true. Kindness.
Yeah.
Yes, but it was so 9,000 across Microsoft. I think it's mentioned that so far this year they've laid off 15,000 people total.
Right,
so far this year.
There was what, 6,000 earlier this year.
Yes, they've been pretty like consistently. I feel like I was saying it feels like every other month we hear about 1,000 people getting laid off Microsoft, another 1,000, and we've talked about this at length back in 2020 to 2022. The hiring was crazy because all these companies thought that the line was going to keep going straight up. Microsoft went from in 2019 to 2023, or even now, I guess now we'll just go up to now. They went from 144,000 employees to 220,000 employees in the span of like 4 or 5 years. So they went 50% up, which is craziness. It's like they really thought the line was just going to keep going straight up with everything that was happening with COVID and people staying inside, where traffic exploded across the internet because there was like 6 or 7 months where we all just went, it was just digital. Like, you could even go out and get a package. It felt like they had to like almost like drop it right in the correct spot in your mailbox and stuff. You couldn't like go out to the post office to get it. Nothing like that. It's like, nope, got it 6 feet everywhere, So now it's coming back down. People are going back out, more normalized, and the line's not going straight up anymore. So,
well, there's one line that is going straight up. Let me present this real quick. Hold on a second.
Is it the unemployment line?
No, it's this one. The only one that Microsoft cares about. Now, what day were these? What day was this announced? The layoff.
It was just recently, right? So it was on the it was Wednesday the 2nd.
Wednesday. Now notice how Wednesday the 2nd we're at 491, and then Thursday the 3rd we're at 498. Interesting.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to add.
That's a lot of money to add there. And that's what it all boils down to. The industry has gotten very commercialized with things like shareholders and stuff like that. And I'm sorry, but if you think it's going to get any better because of, well wishes for people, it's not. And then you have the whole other side of what the Seattle Times reported, which I'm sure you'll get into.
Yep.
Like it's gonna get ugly out there.
I was saying in the chat, I was like, I'm waiting for people to connect the dots to this because there's something I've been following for a couple years now, related to AI, and I've been very curious how all this was going to go as we got closer. I'll say to like 2029, 2030. We'll get to that in a minute here, though, because I do want to mention, you said turn 10. This is an absolute shame, travesty, you could say. All right. Because turn 10, one of the OG studios for Microsoft, they were there with the original Xbox. If you look them up, they were developing Forza Motorsport for years during that generation, and they get it out right at the end in 2005. And every time they put out a Forza Motorsport, it was good. Like, there wasn't a time where you went, what happened with this Forza game? The
last one wasn't great.
So the last one I hear, but like before that was Forza Motorsport 8.
Right.
We're going 7 back then. You looked at it and you're like, okay, that's a great simulation racing game. And it's been a consistent flow really throughout those generations. It's just the last one, you're right. It was one that was a little strange for them because it felt, the way they named it, even Forza Motorsport, it didn't feel like it was going to be a numbered series anymore. It kind of felt like this is going to be a continuous thing we're going to add on to forever. Like, this is our live service Microsoft game now, like their own Sea of Thieves. And it came out feeling like it was the beginning of Sea of Thieves, and then it's taken how long for that game to get to where it's like this incredibly popular thing, but they had to stack content for so long. That's kind of what Forza Motorsport felt like. Launched with fewer features, I think, the people were expecting, and they've been waiting for more to get added. And now Turn 10 cut in half. Like they went from 140 or so people, they lost 70 or so.
It's supposed to, and like, aren't they just going to be a support team now? I believe is the rumor.
They're going to be, it sounds like they're going to be a support team for Forza Horizon. And this is one of the few times where it seems that the spinoff overtook the original.
Yeah.
So that's what they're doing. They're going to help Playground because they do make the engine behind it Forza Tech. So I assume they're going to support from that angle. And that would also mean they'd kind of support Fable then to a degree. So that's going to be their job now.
Is that coming out?
Okay, see, we gotta ask that now all the time.
We do. I saw Perfect Dark. I've seen more of Perfect Dark than I have of Fable.
That is a good point. That's true. I think some of that had to do with Crystal Dynamics' involvement, because it sounds like the reason we even got that gameplay snippet last year was because Crystal Dynamics made it happen. Which that's a shame too, by the way, because they play into this since. I think Crystal Dynamics is a good studio, getting games out. I think when they have something in front of them, they can get it done. And they were part of Perfect Dark. They're apparently working on a Tomb Raider game. I say apparently because we haven't seen it yet. And based on the way this industry is going, if you haven't seen something, I mean, you kind of got to assume it's 50-50 even coming out. Mm-hmm. But Crystal Dynamics, man, they Embracer's running them. I don't know.
This is good. Consolidation is good, John. All these companies need to either be owned by Embracer or they need to be owned by Microsoft. And we're seeing the fruits of the labor. It all worked out just like those people told us it would, right?
Well, Forza is just Horizon now, I guess. Turn 10 is just going to roll with that. Wait, yeah. Well, the thing with that is Forza Horizon, I assume whatever the next one is, Forza Horizon 6 will do very well. 5 has done incredibly well. So it depends on where they go. We all say, hey, Japan makes sense, but I think you've mentioned that would be very difficult. So.
Yes, unfortunately. Where do you go with it, though?
That's a good question. That is a good question.
I feel like they've done pretty much every. I mean, I guess you could do. I don't know. Maybe go to Europe and make it so there's multiple. But the whole appeal of the game is that it's just one big map. So I don't really know how you do it.
Yeah, that's gonna be the thing is they got to pick a good location. It's got to still be modern times. They're gonna use the regular cars and stuff. I don't think they try to go back in time and try to do an older one.
Well, no, I mean, because that wouldn't really, unless it's a very time a early 2000s thing, but that would be a nightmare to license that anyway.
Right. I was thinking that they go back, they keep it somewhere in the US, they can just pick somewhere, but they go back to that Fast and the Furious first broke onto the scene. Everyone's got these early 2000 tuner cars and stuff. That was an interesting time period. So,
but kind of Unbound kind of did that. The new Need for Speed.
That's true. It's
tough.
The old Eclipse, the turbo.
Did you have one of those?
No, I had a friend that did, and it was everyone thought it was cool because it had the blow off valve.
Yeah,
that was it. You look back on it now, I think it was dirt slow, but it was wait, hold on.
It's got a turbo. Fuck it.
That was it. That's all you needed back then. I think his family was really into cars. He also had an RSX Type S, and everyone thought that was the coolest car too.
Well, those were cool cars. Those were cool. I like those. The successor to the Integra, and now you have the new Integra, which is kind of.
But that would be at least interesting, kind of shake things up a bit. But you're right, the licensing would be crazy. So,
yeah.
I assume they have to do that soonish. So that might be next year, the next Forza Horizon. We'll see with that.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's the problem, man. It's so up in the air for Microsoft right now. I don't know what is going to come out of this place now. And they even canceled there's the ZeniMax MMORPG. We didn't really know much about it. It was codenamed Blackbird, and it was from, I believe, the Elder Scrolls Online team. They had been working on this. Phil Spencer apparently had to have the controller taken out of his hand because he liked it so much. then they
Bro,
canceled.
didn't he log on and was playing games like 30 minutes
man.
after all the layoffs? I was like, well, good luck, fuckers. I'm gonna play some games here.
People calling him playing Indiana Jones while all this was going on. I mean, what's he supposed to? He's just like, whatever, right? Here's the thing, Phil. I'll just give you some advice, okay? Dude, when this stuff's happening, appear offline. It's right there. Just do it.
Stop friending people that you took out to lunch to do your marketing for you because your marketing is garbage.
Trying to help you, Phil. Just appear offline. It's right there. Just do it. Couple button presses. Save yourself the headache. Yeah, I saw this. Halo devs should be nervous. There were some that said that they were laid off at Halo Studios. But Halo Studios has been mentioning that they're trying to hire more. And I think it's just because they do have their projects that are still on, which is probably a Halo Combat Evolved reboot for next year. So they might be scaling up to try to get that out the door in time for the 25th anniversary. But again, we'll see. 2026. It also appears that OD is still a thing. Like that has not been canceled.
Maybe.
Well, that's the report that came out, and that'd be crazy if they canceled that on Kojima. Just like that's something that Microsoft could use, a weird implementation of their cloud-based computing for gameplay, and that's the thing that saved it because it is tied to cloud, and Microsoft's all about cloud and they're all about AI. So maybe that's what it is. But Romero, his studio is probably shutting down because that contract got cut. Apparently, they were proceeding through alpha, and the person who mentioned it said it was fun. They're not going to bury their game, so I don't know if it was fun or not. But there was at least some back and forth on that too.
Was there any word on what it was? Like what type of game it was?
FPS of some kind.
Well, that would have been nice to see.
Would it made sense for the Xbox? So yeah. that's the thing. I would just been curious to see what it was. There's so many games now that have been canceled that I would have been curious to see what it was. And maybe we'll find out someday when NDAs are up or people start talking about it behind the scenes. But like Perfect Dark, just because that small gameplay snippet, I would have just been curious where they would have taken it. It'd been interesting to see whatever this MMO thing was. Even if it wasn't for me, I don't know, maybe Evan would have seen it and been like, oh, cool.
He's not playing a console MMO.
Well, no, it would have been on PC.
They released multi-platform, and if it's first person, I wonder if it would have just been fantasy, more like Elder Scrolls, but just first person Elder Scrolls MMO.
So that's the thing. It's hard to say what any of these games were, and we're still finding out news. Apparently, it's not over yet. We might find out about more layoffs and cancellations next week.
What do you think happens when they announce that Fable's been canceled?
That I feel like they have to keep that because it's Playground, but who knows, man? At this point,
they?
I don't know.
They don't got to keep anything.
They don't have to keep. You built a studio and then shut it down. You don't have to keep anything.
That feels like such a waste. Oh my gosh, they had a studio for 7 years and nothing ever came out of it except for one gameplay snippet, and then it's canceled. It's
Jade
gone.
Raymond looking at that punch in the air like should have been me.
Hey, she's perfected the art of getting studios, selling them, and then letting them shut down. Yeah, that's gonna be. Street Shadow said rumors that Kojima was or is looking for a new publisher for OD, but Jez said that was not the case. But not sure if I fully trust Xbox reporting. There were some other people saying that Kojima OD is still on with
for
Microsoft. Now. So yeah, for now. Although I will say Kojima, he stuck to his. He's not someone who ends up in like this crazy development cycle of 7 or 8 years. He seems to at least get the games out, for better or worse, for what people think of him. He seems to be on a pretty good cadence. Also, he wants to make Fizzant, I think, really badly. With how much I played Death Stranding 2, he really wants to make a Metal Gear Solid game, basically. So he, I think he's ready to get OD going so he can move Fizzant into like full production. Which for Death Stranding 2,
we're good. We got Omega coming next month.
Oh right, yeah. But still with what we're seeing right now, I'll say I'm not with no spoilers or anything. Death Stranding 2 feels like there's a lot of ideas there that might find its way into Fizzant. So, and I think Fizzant's going to be. We haven't seen anything about it. Nothing, just no spy thriller.
For the record, MVG was a bigger fan of Death Stranding 1 than John was, and he said Death Stranding 2 is fine, but it's more of the same. Take that as you will.
It's more of the same to a point, and I cannot. It's so annoying because if I start talking about it, I know people are gonna be like, "Why are you spoiling Death Stranding 2?" But I can't. Delivering packages, yes, but doing other stuff on top of that also, yes. You haven't played yet, have you, Evan?
No, not yet.
Death Stranding 2. Okay. I because you like the first Death Stranding.
Yeah, it's pretty fun after you get past that certain point where it starts to feel more like almost survival mill sim with the package delivery.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, you'll probably like the second one then. But
I watched DSP stream some of it.
Okay, there you go. There you go. I'm like 25 hours in now for it, so I'm rolling. I'm enjoying my time with it. All right, here we go. Look, Death Stranding is trash.
Yeah.
Death Stranding 2 is way better than the first. And then no Death Stranding 2 spoilers, please. I gotcha. I'm holding off on like talking about it all for a bit. Once I get through it, maybe we'll do like maybe a spoiler discussion or something. But not now. No, I can't get it's like that in Squid Games. I can't talk about any of that or it's gonna spoil something. So
you spoiled Squid Games for me.
Yeah, but you deserved it.
I mean,
MVG was the one who started really getting into it there too.
I wasn't gonna watch it, but still, it's pretty good.
I think you would. I think you'd like Squid Game, Sean.
See, now I hate it. Now it's the worst thing in the world.
I think it's 14 episodes or something for the whole thing.
That's a lot of episodes. How long's an episode? How long's an episode? Oh, come on, that's a time commitment there.
But like, if you watch the first season, the idea of Squid Games, it's like dark web, like the snuff event stuff, because they have like really rich people come in and watch these people fight and claw it out and kill each other for money in different like games from like the playground is the idea.
Hey, what happened to Stranger Things? Where the fuck is I thought that shit was supposed to come out this summer.
You watch Stranger Things?
Yeah.
Well, no, I thought they said there was gonna be like a few episodes leading up to New Year's, and then
they're gonna
New
split
Year's
them.
is gonna hit for the final.
Fuck off.
They're gonna do that splitting thing. Yeah, Netflix been doing this recently, because they did it for Cobra Kai as well. They took like the last 4 or 5 episodes, split it off, so that way you have to stay subscribed or at least come back.
That's because it's for viewer retention. Because when they binge drop a whole season, they realize their numbers go up for like a week. And that's it. They just immediately go back down.
Darth is right though. That's the problem. The Stranger Things kids are like 10 feet tall adults now. They're all old now.
Yeah.
So that's how long we've been waiting for this. That's good though. That's good stuff, Sean.
No, I want to cancel my Netflix. That's the reason I haven't yet.
Well, you can do it now and then pick it back up.
Oh, that's too much work.
Well, then watch Squid Games while you're waiting. There you go.
Is that on Netflix?
Yes.
Yeah. When did they update the UI of Netflix? That I don't like that.
A couple months ago, I think.
I never use it. And I logged in to see if there was anything I wanted to watch the other day, and I was like, "What in the fuck is this? This is terrible." Give me Tubi. Tubi Master Race, dude.
Try. Yeah, you should try Squid Game. See what you think of it. It's pretty good. I think you'll like it.
Yeah, I'll get right on that.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. Let's see. Oh, and okay, so with the Microsoft layoffs, the other part of this was reported by Seattle Times as they started to link together Microsoft, these layoffs, and AI. And I was waiting for somebody to make this connection because I'm like, I feel like that's why this is happening. But Seattle Times, if you look at their channel on YouTube or you look at their publication, they've been talking to Microsoft about AI for a couple years now. Like it makes sense. Seattle Times, right? They're right there with Microsoft. So they get a lot of like roundtables and they get one-on-one conversations. Like they talked to remember the president of Microsoft who made the whole pitch with the cards for why they should be able to buy Activision Blizzard, and people were hyping them up and stuff on Twitter X when that was going on. He did an entire conversation about AI and how their big push and how their big $80 investment that they were making earlier this year was going into effect. So $80 billion investment.
Hey, you said $80, and I was like,
sorry,
talking about Mario Kart World.
20s.
Hey, that's a lot of money. Okay, $80, $80 billion investment, which that is $10 billion more than Activision Blizzard. And we saw what that did to Microsoft's Xbox division. It's like turned that thing upside down. But this being for AI, they are, as people have been describing it now, with up to 15,000 layoffs this year, retooling. That's the word that's getting thrown around by analysts. Retooling, moving resources around, because they're saying 80 billion now. That's just for this year. Amazon has said that they're going to invest $100 billion into the AI race. Meta similar amount. Tesla also investing stupid amounts of money. Google is investing incredible amounts of money. And right now, there is a race to AGI with AI right now. Like all these companies are desperately trying to get there first. And that means that they're probably going to spend in the next 2 to 3 years, cumulative, $500 billion to try to make it happen. So people are going to be laid off from it. That's just the way it is. And that's how Microsoft's viewing it. So I have to assume Satya said, okay, we're cutting across the board. Phil, you need to cut this much money out. Go find it. And I think he looked at something like Blackbird, which is that ZeniMax MMORPG. And he said, okay, what's your guys' timeline? 2028? Okay. That's the end of that. Like, that was kind of it. When was Perfect Dark coming out? 2028. Okay. That's the end of that. So I feel like they were looking at short-term releases that would generate money and be able to justify that more than stuff that's not coming out for another 3 to 4 years. And yes, I think there is a massive link to AI here. And I think it's going to be incredibly disruptive one way or the other. Because if it works, it's going to be disruptive. If it doesn't work, that means a lot of companies just burned a stupid amount of money that will affect them in the long run. And a lot of people under them. So yay, AI.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing of it is you can't, like, people, you know, they say this, that you can't stop it. You're not going to stop it. Like, these companies are going to do it. So
they're taking a shot.
Yeah, like AI is already, you know, you use it with Grok, you use it with Chat GPT, you use it. That's called Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Like,
have you gone down the rabbit hole, Sean, of rumors around what's happened with AI?
No, because I don't give a fuck, man. Like,
there's some crazy stuff that people believe may have happened, and it's like insanity. It's so crazy.
I mean, I figure, you know, I just turned 40. I lived a good life. If, you know, whatever, if the world burns down around me, hey, you know, I'll just watch the shit show, pal.
Yeah, it's yeah, there's definitely a fear around AI, and there's also an excitement around it. It's this weird energy, fear and excitement clashing constantly around this because people don't really know what to think of the idea of AI.
The AI got him. The AI shut off his microphone.
Just took that mic right out.
Yep. Allen Iverson, he was watching.
From the background.
Not a game. Not a game. We're talking about practice. Practice. No, I'm a conspiracy theorist.
AI got me.
Yeah, it did.
It got me. Okay. That people are afraid that there might be Ultron effect, like you mentioned, or Skynet.
Well, duh. What do you think is going to happen?
Oh yeah, it's almost everything. I mean, the 40K universe, dark age of technology, stuff like that.
That is a legitimate fear because so the thing that makes this whole race so crazy to view is all these companies right now have their advantage and disadvantage, and they all have a stupid amount of money to solve their disadvantage. So Meta has Facebook and all the stuff around people. So they are training their AI on all that information. So anyone on Facebook, your stuff's being used to then train their own infrastructure and algorithms around AI. Tesla has the robot stuff, the cars, they're mapping the entire world that way, and that's feeding into it. Google has search. Microsoft has all the corporate level cloud stuff. Amazon, same thing with AWS. And it's all just coming together. And eventually the idea is someone will reach AGI. And then because you have AGI, it would then be able to exponentially evolve and reach something called ASI, which is super intelligence.
Good.
Which is probably when it all goes wrong and Ultron forms. Yes.
That's fine, man. Go ahead. I'm good.
Yes. So that's yes, and Google with YouTube. You're absolutely right, Brian. There's a lot of concerns around that right now because AI trains off of YouTube for Google, which means there's an AI right now going through Sean's videos and training on everything he's saying.
Good.
And in the future, it'll fix Sega, just like Sean will.
Yep. You're welcome.
How many years? People have differing opinions. We're 2025 right now. I wouldn't be shocked if by like 2031, 2032 it happens. And then it's all out now. So I don't know. No one knows what happens. All I know is a lot of money is being thrown into the pot to try to make it happen.
The world burns.
Yeah, and then no one knows what happens with jobs for people. I don't know. So that's
Imagine having kids. Imagine having kids.
Well, that's
we brought you into this world. Y'all are fucked. Y'all have no future whatsoever.
That's actually one of the reasons I'm paying attention to this so much, because one of the exploding job markets right now is literally AI engineers, or like being able to, I guess, talk to AI, or that kind of thing, right? Reason with AI. And that's like a whole thing right now that's being projected to be some crazy high job valuation. And it's like, is that where you steer the kids now? Versus, hey, you should be a doctor. It's like, maybe you should be an AI engineer go between.
Yeah, but I mean, there's going to be eventually that's going to fill up, because the AI will be able to handle itself.
The AI will talk to itself. It's cool. Yeah. The AI will handle itself. Don't worry about it.
Sorry, kids.
Yeah, it's a weird time right now, but to me, I think that's what's happening and why we saw these kind of layoffs. Microsoft is fascinated with AI, and they're willing to throw all the money in the world at it if that's what's going to take to make it happen. So I don't know what happens when they get there. But if nothing happens, the other disruptive part is most of these companies will be really, really hurt from it. So there you go.
So the world burns either way.
Yes, I think it's disruptive either way. Either these companies are going to lose a stupid amount, because think about it this way. The reason you mentioned the stock, the reason a lot of the stock is high, NVIDIA, great example. They're providing chips to everyone basically, because they all have to build infrastructure and data centers and stuff. If it doesn't work, the stock market probably crashes. All these companies lose crazy amounts of value overnight, and it's just disastrous. So then people will then also lose their job. So
your job is gone either way, pretty much.
Kind of, yeah. That's why I would start studying AI. That would be my advice. Start looking into AI, basically.
Just enjoy your last few years on
That
Earth,
too.
honestly. Just run up a high credit card bill. Gives a fuck, dude.
Go unplug, play some PS2 or GameCube or Xbox or something. PS1, whatever. Go unplug, play something that didn't need the internet constantly. Go do that. Strange times ahead. Yes. Speaking of which, I did want to bring this up very quickly. Battlefield. Battlefield 6, right? Are we on Battlefield 6 right now? Yeah. So we had 2042. Didn't go too well. They worked to build it up for a while. It got better. It did. Evan, you were following it along, and you said it got much better, but unfortunately,
okay.
No one was around to say it got better, really.
They had their spikes, because every time just like any game, every time an update drops, new maps, new guns, stuff, you see the uptick, and then it just goes back down. It always does.
We got a report that came out that mentioned the budget for the new Battlefield that's in development should be out in the first half of next year. $400 million budget. And they're aiming for 100 million players.
This is smart business.
That is almost 4 times more than, I believe, 2042, and about 3 times more than the most popular Battlefield game they've ever created. To me, it sounds like they looked at Call of Duty Warzone and they were like, that hit 100 million players a couple of years ago. We want that. So what that tells me is Battlefield's probably going to ship with a free-to-play part of it of some kind, because that's going to work to pump up numbers. They'll probably have a Battle Royale mode. And then they'll probably have like a quick single, because the word is they're going to have a single-player campaign, but it's going to be like 3 or 4 hours. So it'll be like a Titanfall 2 kind of short campaign, which is fine. I don't mind that. I don't need campaigns in a shooter that's going to be just shooting gallery to be 10 hours for some reason. If they have good ideas for set pieces and for Battlefield, destructible environments and buildings, and they're like, hey, this is all going to play into it, but it's going to be 4 hours. Great. Let's do that.
You made Evan leave. He's tired of your shit.
Well, you're going to play the multiplayer in general for any of these first-person shooter games anyway, rather than the campaign. So,
yeah, I just this industry's fucking dumb, dude. Like, these people need to be punched in the face. Like who is making these 100 million? You're not getting 100 million players on a new Battlefield game. Like whoever said that should have been laughed out of the room, possibly thrown out of the room and fired. Like this whole industry sucks.
I'm not really sure how they went through with that. And they were like, that dude's on to something right there. 100 million players. We had 23 million for 2042 over the course of several years. So obviously we'll do 100 million.
I'm pretty sure whatever classes they took to get that position involved The Secret as a book you had to read and understand and just put it into the universe. And it's just stupid wishful thinking. If I say it enough, it'll happen.
Yeah. The thing that's kind of a shame, though, is I sort of feel like this is teetering on the edge of Battlefield's last shot, kind of. Like, as Vince Zampella comes in to do it now, and if this doesn't work, I don't know if you do Battlefield again. Not to this degree. So that's shooting for the moon there with 100 million players. But I guess we really got to see the game when they're ready to present it. They showed us like some very quick.
Bro, it's not getting 100. It could be Jesus Christ in video game form, and it's not getting 100 million.
Yeah, and how do you think everyone working on it feels now? Because it's like, oh, it's going to get 100 million. Everyone's like, well, let me get my resume together.
Went back to school for AI engineer. The thing is, there was the report of people within EA and DICE and everything we're talking about. Like, yeah, that's probably not a good projection for us. So I don't even know how you keep working on the game and go, yeah, we're good. 100 million players definitely happening here. It's a weird way to kind of go the opposite direction of holding up morale. And you're like, you guys are going to do 100 million players.
You guys just got to keep saying it. Manifest it. All right. Fucking dumbass.
Yeah, because they're going to put it on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. And I guess wishful thinking, there are enough people there to make it happen, but
is it going to run on a toaster? Because that's how you get 100 million. If
that's
it runs on a toaster, it goes into all the cheap like computer cafes and stuff overseas that have like 10-year-old, 15-year-old computers. That's how you get to 100 million, but not before then.
You're right. It has to be highly optimized, like to where it will run on like 4-year-old, 5-year-old video cards. Well, otherwise, good luck. Good luck with that. Mobile. Yeah, there are a lot of ways they could fudge the numbers and get there, but
they're just making it a mobile version.
So I mean, there has to be something we're all missing out on, because Battlefield and 100 million doesn't. I mean, what did the last one sell?
Well, they said it was like 22 million players in this.
And we're not saying sell, we're saying players.
Players, yeah.
It's a very key word.
Yep. So they were
jargon.
So we're gonna go up for
Yep.
I mean, with decisions like that, like the industry deserves to burn. You know, like what can you say?
I think what was the most popular Battlefield game? Was it 3?
I know 5 spiked back up, but I
thought it would have been 3. I mean, just in
3,
general, like
I think
3,
still 15 million.
So I think it with I think the most players they've had in a Battlefield franchise overall was in the 30s. So I'm trying to think of which one that would have been. And I know 3 was super popular when that came out. Like everybody was trying to play that game. We'll see. I mean, that's coming out.
Battlefield 1 numbers was 21 million. Supposedly.
Okay. Yeah, I remember people weren't even like that high on that game either, and it still does like 20 something million. They seem pretty consistent in the 20s, so we'll see. Hey, good luck with that. Good luck. Let's talk about actually, let me go through some of these real quick. Medallion says, are we getting a General Nintendo Direct this month, or is that moved to August or September? It's going to happen. There's going to be a Nintendo Direct, and it's going to happen on July 9th. Wednesday, July 9th, because that is the one day that I will technically be unavailable.
You're only going to the beach for one day again?
No, I'm going 3 days.
Oh.
Yes. But I will be overall unavailable on the 9th.
Oh, okay.
Unless I can take 10 minutes to record a video, but I don't really feel like doing it from the beach. Although people said, hey, you should do a beach video because
don't
the
give
balcony
him ideas,
and stuff.
Please don't give him ideas.
I'll do it. I'll record it from the beach. Liza Phil says, screw Xbox. Straight into the point. This is from Sneaker Fanatic, says, first super chat. Well, how much to get on the Spawncast?
More than $2, pal.
$5 million.
Lemstar says, well, Colt, Kids Move, Randall Thor, time to close up shop, boys. LMAO Phil has once again betrayed you all.
It's only 4 games, though.
I think Rand was going off on Xbox 2 yesterday. Derek says, RG85, will you check out my band Seeds of Fate? We just released a song called Freedom Never Dies. I think you would dig it, brother.
Okay.
Seeds of Fate.
Okay. There it is. Let's see.
The Casual Noob Gamer says, I'm always available to come on if you need me. Thanks, Casual Noob. Valen says, when will we get TMG stream? Enjoyed the story. So, some of the posts online for that. We did the signing one, which is cool. And Sean with the smoke in front of him with the Sabu pose. More smoke, more smoke.
I had to hold for like a minute.
More smoke. Get out of the way. That was great. Did you told that story, didn't you?
Yeah, we told over the course of Game and Talk and Analog Allies, pretty much all the stories got out.
No one heard my perspective of that story, because what happened for me is I left because remember I had to get 2 more card cases for the people in line.
Right.
Right. So I leave. I go see Chris. He throws me 2 more, and I'm coming back. I'm like, oh, let me hand these back to these people who are here. Get that delivered. And I turn around. It's you between Celia and Josie, like with your Sabu pose, and this dude is just screaming at you, and smoke is going everywhere. And I'm like, what is going on here? I had no build up to that at all. I just see this dude screaming at this girl about smoking. Get out of the way! Get out of the way! I was like, whoa, this is serious business here.
That dude was in the zone. He must have. I'm assuming like he's done this before or something, because like. Yeah, that was. You
saw those video clips though. That was some good stuff. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah, it was fancy. I like Cody the cowbell in the song. It's a good cowbell.
Cody says, did you read that a Microsoft executive told staff to use AI as a therapist to help the grieving process for the job layoffs? Feels like an AI cult at Microsoft. I saw that. I think they deleted it. Or
yeah, it was on LinkedIn. He deleted it.
Not a great idea. Yeah,
shows you how tone deaf these people are.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Shouldn't be saying that. Gosh. Pyro says, is it possible for Sony to patch the PS5 enable a system-wide 120 hertz option similar to Xbox? Also can expand the VRR window. Is it possible? I've seen Digital Foundry talk about, first off, they did talk about VRR on the PS5, and that did not go over well online. People were really annoyed at them for that. But it's kind of hard to say. I'd like the 120 hertz option just being system wide. I'd also like that for the Switch too, because most of us have TVs that are just 120 hertz. Like, why not have the menu also be 120 hertz? But with Sony, the VRR window is the thing I'm really unsure about, and Digital Foundry seems to think it's possible, but it's up to Sony. It took them 2.5 years to even bring VRR to the PS5, so that was a whole thing on its own. Jeffrey says, if anyone has the Wii U GameCube adapter, it works flawlessly with the Switch too. Use your OG GameCube controller. It does. I've tried it out, and it works fine. Formerly Chuck says, lost my official GameCube component cables while moving. Any good alternatives? Oh, you had the official ones? Dude, are those still like stupid expensive?
Probably.
Man, those are so hard to find. Like the official ones are so hard to find. I feel like we've had some third-party ones come out since then.
Yeah, the components are $180 on Amazon. There's the Retro Prism component cable, which is $57.
I can't speak to the quality of that, unfortunately.
Let's see if anyone's made a video on that I trust.
Yeah, so at that point, have the HDMI adapters you could go for, like the Prism or something, I guess. But those might be the alternatives you have, because otherwise, yeah, you're spending probably about $200 after taxes just to get the Komodo cables for that thing. And the HDMI adapters are pretty good now. They've gone through each one's gone through a couple revisions, like the Eon one and stuff, and they're pretty solid. Fransby said, Phil is trying to take my Skyrims. Yep, gotcha, Fransby. Elmick says, had a ton of fun meeting and bantering with you guys at TMG signing. I'll try and bring something better than my lanyard to get signed next time. Yeah, we might have to. I was talking to Evan about maybe we'll come up with like some kind of poster, smaller poster, something people can get and sign, just so it's set up for signing. Because even when you get one, like they should do this at TMG, even it's not set up well. You're always signing over something, like
Right.
over like a graphic. Or if we had something where there's a smaller graphic in the middle and then it's all set up around the outside as places to sign, I think that would just look better when you hang it up.
Yeah, because you can match stuff up. We could get silver Sharpies, and I could do like a black border. It'd be nice.
Sure. Yeah, something like that. That'd be really cool. Illustrious says, with Perfect Dark being canceled, does that mean that 5 years is too long for game development, or has some other precedent been made by Microsoft? I think the AI precedent is in play right now. And they're thinking shorter term. So, yeah, who is lighting fireworks right now?
Just your kid in his room, just
Yeah.
wow.
Smoke detector's gonna go on.
It says town. Somebody's always testing like that 4-year-old fire extinguisher in the garage.
I'm hearing pops that way as well.
Gosh. B2 says, when you play games on a 4K TV that aren't 4K, do you set the console as close as possible to native resolution of that game? Asking, I'm a Switch owner. On a 4K TV that when you play games on a 4K TV that like do you? I mean, yeah, I try to set it to as close to the native resolution. You mean like if it's a 1080p game, do you then just take the resolution, move it to 1080p? I don't. I just let the system kind of handle it on its own.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of usually how I do it. I don't, because then you're kind of going game by game basis then. But that's typically it. I usually let the system upscale and kind of do its thing from there. Bobo says, why is Nintendo the only one that knows how to run a business? They know how to manage their studios, not fall for live service trends, or make huge acquisitions they had no guarantee of profiting on. Well, the thing with Nintendo I'll give them credit for is they're also very quiet about stuff. The only reason we know that Retro Studios has canceled like 6 games is because of just reporting and behind the scenes banter in the US, whereas in Japan they're much quieter about that stuff. So we just don't know a lot of the stuff that gets canceled or shelved. But when you mean like business wise, they tend to still be kind of old school about a lot of stuff. They even mentioned that in their Q&A that they're more traditional, and that's how they're kind of doing their development process. What do you think, Sean?
No, I think that's pretty much spot on. It's an old school mentality that sometimes works for them. Sometimes, it's a bit too traditional, but I think overall, they've stuck to their guns. They've stuck to what worked. And I mean, the proof is in the pudding. Can you play a Nintendo game on any other console right now? No. Can I play a PlayStation game on other consoles? Yes. Can I play an Xbox game? Yes. Patapon 1 and 2 coming to Switch. Well, I mean, those, I'm not super counting the Bandai Namco stuff. You can say Lego Horizon Adventures.
Well, that's fair. Yeah. Ben says Microsoft layoffs for AI infrastructure. Yeah.
Get used to it.
RG85 GeForce guy says won first place playing Mario Kart World Knockout 2 times in a row in his stream. So you guys should call him the 2-time champ from now on. Technically, he's won more than 2 times.
But that was on my stream yesterday. I won.
So there's a record of it.
Yeah. I won, dude. The first fucking race I won.
Wow.
Yeah,
no one skidded past you right at the end as you were finishing your drink?
And it was all viewers that were in the lobby.
People don't know that Evan downed a beer in like 30 seconds and then just raced ahead.
Oh,
Sean tried to nurse his beer to the finish line.
Part of me wanted
chugger.
to like pull full on power slide across just to like add to it. Just had to get out though.
That beer was gone so fast. I don't know how that happened. That was insane. Iron Smash says, "Sup gamers, y'all ready for the Switch 2 COD players?"
Yes, I can't wait to destroy them all.
In Black Ops 7, you sure?
Yeah.
You're gonna get killed by Seth Rogen, Beavis and Butthead.
Well, initially, when the game first comes out, they keep it somewhat decent. But then they get into the fuckery. Seth Rogen, Beavis and Butthead, all these stupid ass game modes. I uninstalled Black Ops 3 today, or whatever the fuck it's called.
The last Black Ops 6?
Yeah, 6.
Last
I
one,
uninstalled it today. I'm done with that. And I installed World War II because it was on Game Pass, and I've been enjoying it thoroughly.
Okay. Chief Adam says buying Activision is honestly the worst thing ever to happen to Xbox, even worse than the reveal of the Xbox One. Embarrassingly incompetent. Well, it definitely changed a lot there. And now, I mean, I guess they had turnkey with Call of Duty for just making money. But man, that's 70 billion. Now they're looking at that like, man, those are AI bucks that we just spent on Activision Blizzard. K Moonon says, Sean, will you play Death Stranding 2?
No, I'm playing Tormented Souls right now because it was on sale on the eShop for $2.
Wow. Okay. Good stuff.
And I took the plunge. It's not the prettiest looking game, but some dude just in a hallway raced by in a wheelchair and it kind of scared me. So I'm having fun with it.
Grubby says RGT 85 was right for the most part, in my opinion.
Can't spell right without RGT.
Okay.
That's a new thing I'm doing.
I hate it, so keep doing it.
Poor Silly Gamer says, did Xbox ever think of investing in their existing studios to make great games rather than spending millions on lawyers to force acquisitions they mismanage? Idiots who shared this are just as guilty.
Interesting.
Well, they ever investing in their existing studios, spending millions. Well, I will say I don't think the lawyers did it. I think it was the AI acquisition, but I think they don't have a lot of patience right now for games that are you're not going to catch. If Metroid Prime 4 is in development at Microsoft, I think it would have been gone years ago, is what I'll say. I think it would not have survived. So that's one of the cases where Nintendo's stubbornness actually worked out for us. DVD Night says, appreciate everyone on the cast. Did you see, by the way, Sean, that some people I saw this, I think like Nick, Special Nick said this and others, give Perfect Dark to Nintendo to work on.
Oh, MBG. Metal Jesus said the same thing. It's like, okay, let's all just calm down, please. It's not how this works.
I was gonna say, I'm sure they're gonna give Perfect Dark to Nintendo to work on.
Yeah. I don't know what.
Just pass it to him like a relay baton. Just there you go.
I can't remember who it was, but some dickhead like years ago told me that Nintendo was going to pick up Scalebound, and I was like, huh. And that never happened. Wonder whatever happened to that guy.
I don't know. I don't know.
Or he called me and everything.
We'll see. Hey, Banjo-Kazooie might come back. You never know.
I mean, never know.
Never know. Apparently, Rare is listening to pitches now, so who knows with Scalebound. Kamiya's out there in force right now.
I'm sure they are.
It'll be an Xbox pitch. 4 years canceled.
Yeah. Black Metal Gamer says Liza P really means Liza Phil. Cram Man says, when do you think God of War lands on Xbox? Okay. Let's we'll come back to these soon. Helldivers 2 is coming out on Xbox, and now people are indeed asking the question that Grandman posed. When do you think God of War lands on Xbox? First of all, let's come back here to the start with Helldivers 2 getting announced for Xbox Series X and S. It's coming out August 26th, same day as Gears of War Reloaded, by the way, which is
coming out on PlayStation.
Yes, I know. We hear it like
my Lord.
They're swapping. It's like Sony sent Helldivers 2 and a second round pick, and then Gears of War is coming over. So that Helldivers 2 getting announced for Xbox really sent social media into like some crazy tizzy. It was wild stuff that was happening. It was flipped upside down. People didn't know which way was up, and I think it's just because Sony. This move is an interesting one for Sony, since if you go to the page, it says PlayStation Publishing. They are putting it there. It's not like the situation of Death Stranding. That went to Xbox and PC because 505 came in and published that. MLB The Show, that was published in accordance with MLB. This is just Sony doing it. And you know what's interesting is they took Nix's, who's been doing their PC ports. They're porting it to Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
So they have their porting studio that's been used up to this point for their PC initiative to move it to the Xbox platform, which is, again, something people didn't really expect. And with the timeline of the port, they would have had to have been working on this thing probably by the end of last year, maybe even before that. So this has been in the works for a little while, and this has started a whole conversation around what is going on with Sony when it comes to exclusives, because their PC push, now this Xbox release, and exclusives in general in question in the gaming industry. I guess outside of Nintendo, who would probably rather shut down than put Mario on PlayStation.
Right. I mean, I don't, there's a lot of people theorizing, maybe not God of War, but maybe Spider-Man shows up on Xbox because of the big licensing stuff. Brett was talking about it. My reply to that was the amount of the port. Are they going to sell that many copies to make it justifiable? I guess something is better than nothing, but
well, here's my question with that real quick, Sean. I don't know how this works in the background with the contracts, but I have to imagine that when you tell Marvel or Disney that you're going to release this game that has licensing tied to it on another platform, I almost wonder if there's like another licensing fee that comes along with that for them putting it on another platform with their character and likeness and that kind of thing.
It could be.
I'm
not sure.
It's just wording, because it's either rights for game development or rights for game development on PlayStation.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. That's the only thing I was thinking. I'm like, I wonder if that's like a roadblock for it. But absolutely, they could say, hey, we think it evens out, or we'll make money on it. Let's move Spider-Man over. Because that's the situation of I guess you could play the older Spider-Man games, but they're not as good as like the newer ones. No. So it's like there's opportunity there because they don't have a Spider-Man game like this. So
right.
Where were you go? You were going to keep going, and I may have interrupted your train of thought.
But no, I think it's very interesting when you combine that with like Lego Horizon Adventures and stuff like that. But all you have to do is go to what Herman Holst and Hiroki Totoki, it's a very fun name to say, have said before in the past. They want to diversify. They want to put things on there. And I know a lot of Sony people are like, oh, it's just one game. It's just a games as a service game. And it's kind of like, well, it's just, just 4 games for Xbox. It's the same conversation. It is kind of interesting, though, because like people are saying in the chat, when you look at like splits of, Xbox and PlayStation and multiplat games, the Xbox split is usually very small. So you kind of have to wonder, what's the point? But I don't know. I'm not the one running Sony. They must see some sort of benefit somewhere to make that sort of decision. And it is what it is. But it could also be that Sony just doesn't see Xbox as a competitor. So they're like, well, why not?
I think the running joke online was like, sweet, 10 new people going to play Helldivers.
Right. I have to imagine Sony has some sort of data, market research, something from, you could even look at Destiny. Like they have to see the numbers for that. They own Bungie. Or MLB The Show. They can see, okay, how does this do? Although that was kind of maybe muddied by Game Pass a bit until this most recent release where it wasn't on Game Pass. Right. They have to have some kind of research that says, we think this makes sense. And these systems are as close as they've ever been. I feel like in general for porting, it's still not a press a button and it's done. There's money involved to make it happen. And they're also going to give up 30% of the money to Microsoft to sell on their platform. But the thing with this to me is Sony's kind of admitting that there is an audience that's going to buy stuff on a platform that's kind of been written off as Game Pass has completely destroyed any buying power for that user base, because this isn't going into Game Pass. It's going to be a $40 game outright.
I am very curious to see the sales of this. Very curious.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I will be it's the thing is that I don't really know how we find out about the sales of it. Like maybe is this going to be a physical release too? I don't know.
No. Dude, first party Xbox games aren't physical releases.
Yeah, that's true.
Let me see. I'll look it up.
Yeah, so that's why and the other thing I thought about this is Microsoft keeps pitching their vision that could happen by the end of next year, as Windows and Xbox are going to become all the same thing, all in one anyway, which means Helldivers 2 would be available on the next Xbox out of the gate. We could see some kind of OS get pushed to the current Xbox Series X and S that maybe enables Steam as well. Who knows? but that means then that they would miss out on this opportunity. Maybe that's why they're doing it now. Hey, in 2 years, we wouldn't be able to make this happen anyway, because if you have Steam, guess what? You can play it on your Xbox. Let's just do it now. Let's get moving with this. It's a live service game. We'll maybe get microtransactions as well. But the question around the single player PlayStation game has now come up because of this, which is interesting, because I will say this. At the beginning of the year on Click R3, we made some predictions, and Ryan did bring up the idea of Helldivers 2 going to another platform. He didn't say Xbox, though. He said Switch 2. And you know what's funny? I still think if Helldivers 2 can work on the Switch 2 and they can make it all happen, I think it's going to the Switch 2 as well.
Well, I mean, you've kind of answered your own question, though. You said it's coming to Xbox Series X and S, right? If it could come to the S, I mean, then I don't see why it couldn't come to the Switch 2. I'm not going to be foolish and say that every game that runs on S could come to the Switch 2, but I think a vast majority of them could.
So now the question would become the single player stuff. It's like, how far is Sony going to take this? I think there have been some answers that Sony's given to investors, maybe flew under the radar a little bit. There was one in particular, and I think it was even during like a kind of I think it was a podcast from Shuhei that he participated in, and said that Sony looked at Nintendo as competition to a degree, but for the most part, they looked at it as eventually Nintendo players will graduate to a PS5 or a PlayStation.
Right. And the Nintendo adults got very upset about that.
Yes. So if that was my thinking, okay, is the idea that how do we get people from the Switch 2, which at this point, the way it's growing, it's an exploding market to be part of. At this time, we think it may have sold, based on what analysts said, 6 million systems in its first month. It's possible. It's out there. So even if it was 5 million, you're like, wow, okay, this thing is selling. We should probably be there in some way. My prediction at the beginning of the year was that Sony would move Horizon Zero Dawn to the Switch 2.
I don't think that's you've already set down a base work with Lego Horizons on the Switch 1.
Yes. And my reasoning for that is it was a PS4 game. So the Switch 2 being more capable on PS4, they'll probably take the remastered one or remake, whatever, move that over. And in their mind, the idea would then become, if we can sell you Horizon Zero Dawn on the Switch 2, maybe you do enjoy the game and you look for how to get the sequel. And you're like, oh, okay, it's on the PS5. Maybe I'll check that out, or ask for it for Christmas or holiday, whatever, and then I'll be off and running on that platform.
Right.
That's kind of the way I could see Sony approaching this. So I just want to make sure everyone's aware and just ready, because we saw what happened with Helldivers 2. Prepare yourself is what I'll say, because we might watch a direct. It might not be this next one. Maybe it's in September. Maybe it's next year. You're watching it. PlayStation Studios logo pops up, and then it's Aloy or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, wow. Okay. That's a big deal. So I think that's something that could actually happen. And it would move Decima to the Decima engine, which I think the Decima engine will go to the Switch 2 with Death Stranding 1. And I think that's sooner rather than later anyway. But that would be
on the wood leaks there. What are you doing?
Oh no, Death Stranding is going to all these. It's on the Mac.
Yeah.
Like the M1.
It's on the iPhone, isn't it?
Yeah. So they'll get it on the Switch too. And I feel like Kojima is also having that same thinking of, let's start getting this audience that clearly the system's selling well. Let's get them interested in this world and, follow along Kojima Productions. So I think you're going to see Sony make some moves to single player, but I don't think anytime soon, I'll say the big God of War next one, the third Horizon game. I don't think you're going to see Xbox or Nintendo logos there right away. I think it's going to be that case of we'll wait years to do it.
Yeah. I mean, there has to be some reasonableness kept within it. I don't think it's going to be a full slate like you see with Xbox, but I think if you're anticipating that like nothing is going to come, you're going to be looking very foolish soon.
Maple Syrup asks, what about God of War on Switch? So the one case where I could make an argument for God of War on the Switch 2 soon is that 2.5D God of War.
Yeah, the
game.
PSP one.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, the 2.5D one that's been rumored. that wouldn't surprise me if they kind of treated it a little bit like Lego Horizon, and they're like, this Roadrunner on the Switch too. Let's put it on there. That 2.5D Metroidvania, I think, would fit nicely on the Switch 2 in general, and just for like the audience and stuff, and might work to again just build up this Sony right now. If you look at what they've been saying, it's all about building up brands, building up franchises. If it has to be through multi-platform stuff, that'd be the way. Or outside of it, they've said, what is it? What's the word that they use? Where they're going to also put it on Amazon Video or TV. They're going to come up with TV series for it, or movies, or they're going outside just the video game space.
Like it's cross media,
something like that. Yeah, there was a word for it that they were throwing around in marketing materials with investors and stuff. So that's kind of what I think could happen with Sony. It's such a different time now, though, for gaming. It's so interesting. I don't know. Is everything getting too? People have asked this. Are things getting too similar for these high-end boxes? The consoles, the ones that it's just a box. It's not a hybrid system, just a box. Are they getting too much the same?
Well, I mean, you still have different storefronts and different features on them. If we're talking about the games themselves, like that's been a thing forever, for at least the past decade plus. This isn't the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis era where you can get two distinctly different games on various platforms because the architectures are so similar. They made everything more streamlined for developers.
I know that it's better for developers. I will say, I do kind of miss that weird bespoke hardware at times. Like the 360 and PS3, I know the PS3 was terrible for third parties, but man, when a first party developer came in and took advantage of it, or when you had help from Sony and you make something like a Metal Gear Solid 4, I mean, it was impressive stuff, but it was because they had kind of a weird setup that had to be taken advantage of. And those times were so interesting. Even if you go back to the Dreamcast, PS2, Xbox, GameCube era, those systems were all so different in one way or the other. Yeah. And they all kind of had their own identity and they were all unique because of it. Even though you could have third-party games going across all of them, it was just when you picked up or you turned on the GameCube or you turned on the Xbox or the PS2, you knew it was just different, even in the game itself, because it's the setup and everything for it.
Yeah, and that was kind of the end of it. Because I mean, 360 and PS3, the difference was in terms of like actually making the games, because the PS3 architecture was a bit more difficult at that time. But the Wii was kind of the outlier, which actually made for some cool stuff, because you had stuff like the Ghostbusters game, which on the 360 and the PS3 had the realistic art style, and then on the Wii and PS2 you had the more animated series kind of art style, which I thought was pretty neat. So
I don't know if I'd say they're at their lowest. I don't know the last time Nintendo sold a DS and Wii combination of units. I think that was the only time they've done something like that, and it was craziness then. Wasn't it like a
companies what the fuck
with 260 million?
360 did better than every other Xbox console as well. Like PlayStation.
The 360 was the high point.
Yeah. I don't.
Yeah.
It's kind of a weird thing to
say. What channel is Analog Allies on? It's on RGT Stash.
Yes, the channel that I live stream on, which I will be live streaming more because I had fun.
That is a good point, Medallion. Sometimes when you have these companies fall down or struggle, man, they come up with some good stuff, don't they?
Yeah.
They do. When they're getting kind of slapped around there for a bit and things aren't going well, and they got to kind of go in the well and get kind of risky with stuff, there's some good innovations that happen.
Not all of it, but some of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It can be pretty. Sometimes it's due to hubris. I will say that as well. But when they're down and out and they're like, we got to figure something out here, typically it falls in the favor of the customer and the consumer, because they'll either price system lower or they'll try to over deliver on something. Right. So I don't mind it. Let's see. This is from Astrolock, who says RGT is 40 as scary as 35.
No, because 35 wasn't scary. I mean, like I don't fucking care. I'm just gonna everything is gonna be the same for me. Like it's just whatever, dude.
I got that. Kevin says, what do y'all think of Game Pass trending today on X and Twitter? Especially whatever was said from the founder of Arcane and whoever else has said anything. A lot of people kind of calling out Game Pass recently. I noticed that as unsustainable, which is the thing that's so unsustainable at Game Pass right now. It is not growing as Microsoft was hoping it would. And I think that's pretty obvious. So you then run into a situation of, if you can't find more customers, you got to raise the price for the customers you have.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually you get to a point where it's just too expensive and they go, I guess I don't need Game Pass. I'll just buy the games I want then from now on if I'm going to. So like, I think you mentioned on $30 a month might be the high point for you.
Yeah, anything beyond that, I'll probably be out. Which you have to imagine a price increase is coming this year.
Yes, I think they'll go to $25 a month for Ultimate. Yeah. So
do you think there'd be a break point of if games don't release on it fast enough, it doesn't matter if the price goes up, that you'd probably be like, no, I'm done with this?
Well, I mean, you get all the first part, a game like Redfall. I know there's a super chat where somebody said, I liked Redfall. Like, I liked my time playing it with my friends because I didn't pay for it like on its own. Like, it just existed on Game Pass.
So Redfall experience.
Yeah, like Redfall is a game that I would never consider buying. If I if I wanted to do a video on it because it was a so bad it's good situation. But it's tough to say. It's tough to talk about stuff like that as far as like buying games and spending money on games because we're not the average consumer. I would go on out on a limb and say a lot of people watching this show right now, you're not the average consumer. The average consumer is a much larger demographic of people who don't keep up with video game stuff. And a lot of those people don't know about things like Game Pass and they don't know about, this, that, and the other. So.
Yeah, but what if there was like a 3-month streak where all the games going to it were just 4 years old, nothing newer, that they just didn't happen to have on it at the time?
Wheelchair Man got me. This looks like
Nice.
Ricky Berwick. Yeah, but then again, it's a business expense for me. So what do I care? If I was the average consumer, then yeah, I would definitely care.
Let's see. We have Astrolock says, I think RGT would like The Boys.
I can't watch it now.
Couldn't watch it before.
Oh, man. Superman Man says, after Halo 3, what big hit did Microsoft have on that level? On that level? But the thing with Halo 3, there was a lot to the community aspect to it. I'm trying to think of what they had that was on the community, because that was such an event. I don't even know if we had the events that we had like that were probably in like the Call of Duty.
Yeah, because outside of that, it was always like Call of Duty or Madden or some NBA game. And those aren't that's just someone else. So
because it has to be like a multiplayer. Halo 3, the big thing obviously was the multiplayer side. I'm trying to think of what like really big multiplayer game. You could say any of them have Nintendo, Sony, or Microsoft. Because it's not that Halo 3 was the best selling game of all time or anything like that, but there was like this vibe to it.
Call of Duty.
Yeah, I would say Call of Duty. Like, I'm trying to think the midnight release, right? That commanded attention there at those stores and stuff. So yeah, Call of Duty would probably be one where you're like, hey, we're gonna go home, we're gonna play this right now together online. Like it was at midnight, 1 a.m. or let's go do this. Halo 2 had a similar thing, but Halo 3 was like, that was the peak of Halo, the peak of, I would say, Microsoft. Because you could say Forza Horizon has done 40 million players or something. It's like Halo hasn't done that. Halo 3. But it doesn't feel like the Halo 3 kind of community vibe to it. I don't know. Maybe something at Gears, maybe? I don't know. I don't even know if Gears did that after. This is Halo 3. It would have been like Gears 2 or 3 then. I don't know if that was like, I don't know.
Dude, this game is fucked. I like this. I should have played this earlier.
Is it like weird?
Yeah. It starts out with boobs and there's some person holding a thing in their hand and they're like on a hospital gurney and their heart is missing, but I can shock them.
I think I've seen this video.
If it's still on sale, I will recommend it. Let me see if it's still on sale in the eShop.
Cody says, and in this AI race, how many rainforests burn?
Not enough. I need more.
Elcanto says, I'll be on Spawncast one day. Also, Evan, breakcore music is dope.
My neutral is melodic death metal, but occasionally I like the music from old shoot 'em ups. So yeah.
Okay, so Tormented Souls is $1.99 on the Switch until 7/10. I'm playing it on the Switch too. Seems like it runs decent. This game, if you like old school survival horror, fixed camera angles, this is some good shit. I'm having fun with it.
Okay. Raised Fit, is that a hidden eShop Gems video?
No, it was $2, and I was just like, oh, okay, I'll buy it for $2. Why not? If it sucks, whatever.
Raised Fist says, I suggest we stop watching Spawnways videos that contain leaks early in the title. You should watch more of those. Maybe I need another one, actually.
You're watching.
What's
you're missing out half the library of his videos.
Spyro Jones says, I wish I could play NSO GameCube Strikers with randoms. Yes, that would be awesome. Unfortunately, you need to have friends for it. So,
and then when you have friends, it's not the best.
We tried playing it, and it was doing the super shot thing was impossible. So we were like, let's just turn this off, because it was that weird thing where you'd be like a millisecond behind, and even if you thought it was running well, you get that weird hiccup that would happen just out of nowhere. You'd be playing it like that, it would jump. So it's made it pretty difficult to play consistently.
Yes.
Let's see. We have buy one BBL, get one free. So I saw a random game dev resume on LinkedIn. They have so many jobs and have been hired and let go more times than a method working deadbeat jobs.
Or a games journalist.
Almec says, we're upcharging for GameCube cables now.
Now? Where have you been, pal?
I was going to say, dude, those cables have been...
What the fuck are these things? Trying to find the save room so I could save my progress.
Those GameCube cables, component cables, have been expensive as long as I can remember.
Yeah, they've always. That's why I like the Eon adapters when that first came out was such a big deal for people, because it finally allowed an alternative.
Yeah, they didn't make a lot of the GameCube component cables, and anyone who bought them just held on to them. So Adam says, I think it's time to admit that Microsoft buying all these big third-party developer studios was a bad thing.
Yes.
That sounds like a good thing. Yeah. I'm not trending in that direction. Shadow of Nexus says, I like Redfall. See? There it is.
Yeah, that was all. Did you play it by yourself or with friends, though? If you played it by yourself, Jesus Christ. If you played it by yourself and enjoyed it.
It's psychopath behavior.
No, dude, these things are creepy. Now there's these legless little things that are like coming after me, but I got a nail gun. I'm shooting.
You're playing with the GameCube controller. That's interesting. It's just the vibe of it from.
It feels like a very GameCube-esque game because of the fixed camera.
That sixth generation feel to it.
I mean, it's a little better than that. Oh, what is that? Oh, it's not dead. Oh, this is a dead end.
Grandman says Spider-Man on Xbox confirmed by RHCD5.
Not wrong. Put it on Gaming Leaks and Rumors Reddit.
Street Shadow says, I don't think you'll get the single-player games on Xbox, but their live service could be on Xbox after a few years. My take is
by himself. The guy played Redfall by bro. That's hey.
My take is that Sony just views Xbox as a second bump in sales, like putting it on Plus. Could be. Maybe they think they're probably not going to pull the rest of the people from Xbox, so let's meet them there.
Yeah.
We'll see. Hey, we'll see if they do make a move for single player to Xbox. I'll be like, oh, there it is. There's not much else to say about it at that point. Yeah. Batman's no message there. Shout out to Batman Alonzo. The Axiom says next Smash Snake versus Sam Porter Bridges. Lotan says with mouse control and Switch 2, you think Final Fantasy 14 support around the corner? Any other Mo's? I think if they can get Final Fantasy 14 on the Switch 2, they'll try. Yes, I think they will. Any other MMOs though? That is a good point. I didn't think of the mouse in the sense of all the MMORPGs that could come over. Also, though, I've been pretty out of the loop of MMORPGs because they are massive time sucks and I just don't have the time for it. Evan, is there an MMORPG that you can think of other than World of Warcraft? Because that seems like the easy one to name.
Well,
is there anything that you can be like this one?
They'd have to make the active choice to put it on here, knowing full well that the next Switch might not have mouse controls. So, like, I don't know if they'd care enough, honestly.
Thinking like Guild Wars.
It would be like an MMO that's dying, and like maybe it's like a small amount of money to move it over, and they figured it out. So maybe Guild Wars. So
I logged into DC Universe on the Switch too.
How did that go?
So it does run at 60 frames per second now, locked
Wow.
completely. However, I noticed something. I was the only person in existence in Metropolis.
nice.
It was just me. I had Metropolis all to myself. I was flying around and no one else was there. It was really funny. It does work though.
Most
That's
of them,
good,
it's
though.
not about like mouse clicking. Like even like World of Warcraft, if you clicked your abilities in your bar, most people thought you were a horrible human being and shouldn't be playing the game. So I mean, still like a keyboard requirement, but just having it for, I guess, moving the camera, yeah, almost anything, Warframe, stuff like that. Easy
Fantasy
enough.
Star Online 2. That's a good one. ET videos. That's a good point. Yeah, DCO is quite empty. Yes, there's nothing there. Callan Shaw Indie Games says, I'm running around Meta Horizon VR worlds telling people check out my game Clamberland website of the same name. Any better ideas to find playtesters? Too bad Celia is not here. Happy birthday, threes. Getting game testers. I feel like there's a website where you can do that. There has to be where you can get playtesters.
Just
yeah. I'm pretty sure
we'll
that
test
there
your game.
is
We'll test it.
where you can basically hire playtesters. That's about, or at least pass it around.
Yeah, something.
Otherwise you just got to hit social media. But I get what you're saying. If it's, is it something in Meta Horizon VR worlds then, or like in Meta for VR? Because that will definitely narrow down your search of people who can even play it. I still have I've never checked out Meta Horizon VR, like the worlds thing.
Yeah, I never did either. I honestly played Batman and I was like, this is awesome, and then that was it. Like
You gonna play Deadpool?
No, I'm not a Deadpool guy. I'm waiting on San Andreas. I don't know what happened with that.
They canceled that.
What?
You didn't know that?
No.
Oh yeah, they canceled it months ago, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I can double. I'm pretty sure that was the. I'm pretty sure that was it. Oh, it's on hold indefinitely, which. There you go. Basically, it's canceled.
Yeah, it's canceled. Oh fuck.
Casual Noob Gamer. Last time Xbox was down and out, they bought studios. How has that been going for them in the industry? Well, I don't think they're buying studios now, unless it's an AI studio. Almec says, I found Soul Calibur 2 at TMG for $35. Is that a steal? I think it is, or am I too jaded by the market? Is it complete?
And what platform?
Yeah, that's all very important.
Yeah, it depends on what platform you got it on.
If it's on GameCube, you can just tell us in the chat. Almost, I feel like GameCube's probably the high watermark for that.
Let's see. GameCube is $30 complete.
So if you got it on GameCube, you're probably right about market value after shipping.
Yeah, because PS2 is $10 and Xbox is $8.99.
Yeah, so I'd imagine it's the GameCube one then at that price. Even at too many games, I don't know. Complete in box GameCube. Yep, nope. That's actually a good pickup. All mix as long as it looks good and clean and it works. Yep, that's about market price. So Blue Chicken says, so with the Odyssey and also the most likely just what we've seen from GameCube games, it'll probably be more expensive in like 2 years, at least by it'll probably be like 40 or $45 or something. So hold on to it. Blue Chicken Man says, so with the Odyssey team confirmed to be the devs for DK Bonanza, which comes first, next 3D Mario game or AI Armageddon? I think next 3D Mario game. I do.
I don't know.
People seem convinced that they are not going to have a 3D Mario game ready anytime soon.
It's because the Nintendo executives said it. The ex-Nintendo executives.
People are convinced that this that Nintendo has only been doing Donkey Kong Bonanza with that studio. Interesting. I don't think we'll wait the whole generation for 3D Mario.
We talked about this last night on my stream. Don't you feel like, especially when you're driving around in Mario Kart World, that like Odyssey, Mario Kart World, and Donkey Kong Bonanza, maybe not the exact same assets, but they're very similar, retextured, recolored assets?
I think there's a reason people looked at Donkey Kong Bonanza and thought it was something for Mario Odyssey 2. Yes.
Right. Like I've definitely been and I'm not saying that's a bad thing or anything like that.
No.
It's smart if it helps with turnaround time. Yakuza does it all the fucking time.
If they use it right, it's strong for brand recognition because it becomes the style of your brand. And then, you could turn around a game 2-3 years easy.
Right. So
not a big deal.
It's definitely, I definitely noticed as we were driving around in Mario Kart and I was like in the city and I'm like, this reminds me a lot of New Donk City, these textures and stuff. And then you look at Donkey Kong, it's like, these look a lot like what we've seen in Odyssey in the Mario Kart world.
Yeah, I think when we see that, you see that sometimes online where people will look at, remember the God of War animation where they're getting into the boat and people are roasting it online. It's like, are they going to mocap that whole thing again when it works? It's like, no, it's a boat animation. So yeah, I prefer these studios to reuse some of that stuff, assets, animations, whatever. If it means we get the game in 3 years instead of 5 or something, 4 years, something like that,
right.
Shave a year off development time, whatever. Great. Weave says, in a future where Xbox is really dropping big developers, do you think larger studios that were purchased would try to buy out? P.S. Great seeing Spawncast at TMG. Thanks, RGD, for signing my wrestling book.
Thank you for buying my wrestling book.
Toys for Bob did that, though. They got out. So, yeah, I think you could see that if they have the means to do it, or they can find a private investor who's interested in doing that. Yeah, I think so. I think you'll see more of them buy out.
And that's if they want their IPs still. A lot of them can just leave, reform studio, start new stuff, get investors, because a lot of the times it's the names and their histories. They can just get investment there without having to buy anything.
Yep, because Toys for Bob still works with Microsoft.
Yeah, and they had some good IPs and stuff just attached to them.
Yeah, but they just left because they're with Activision. They were working on like Spyro and Crash and that kind of thing. But they left and they're like, okay, we need to make our new IP, but they're contracted with Microsoft, and so they're working on stuff anyway. But they do have the freedom then to pursue that alongside of it they want. And now there's word that because of what was been happening at Rare, where one veteran left after 35 years, that was apparently a wall for why we weren't getting a Banjo-Kazooie remake, or them redoing Banjo-Kazooie even through like a remake or making a new one. Now apparently Toys for Bob has been brought up in discussion as pitching Banjo-Kazooie and other things. So maybe that's how MVG gets that W and 2030 of the AI Armageddon.
There's a time limit.
You're gonna call the time limit on him?
Yes, 100%.
You're gonna call the buzzer before the shot. Oh man. MVG's gonna be allowed back on Reddit. Sean's gonna be in there like, nah, you can't let him back in here.
Nope.
Get him out of here. So the last thing, we did have the Switch 2, which Sean, you have a video tomorrow about your 1 month with the Switch 2. I kind of wanted to get Josie's take on it, but she's not here, so that worked out well. And also, I think Sean and I are going to have a bit of a longer form discussion that doesn't have to be crammed into like a 10-minute video or something with some other people, just bantering back and forth. I think we're going to try to have that this week, so that'll be fun. But just like I've been looking at the Switch 2 in that kind of, are we almost out of the honeymoon phase yet for people? Are we still in it? Where do you think? Do you think we're out of that initial, okay, wow, the Switch 2 is here. Okay, let's check this out. Are we past that now? And now we're on to thinking Donkey Kong Bonanza is like kind of that second release.
Yeah. I mean, you got some publications saying that it's the killer app, like over Mario Kart and stuff. I would like to see more first party announcements. No disrespect to Metroid Prime 4, but that's a Switch 1 game. Kirby Air Riders. I don't fucking care about Kirby Air Riders. So I'd like to see, some more of that. I'd like to see the barriers get dropped on third-party companies being able to announce stuff, because there really hasn't been that many games announced since the April Direct. Most of the things that we've gotten so far are just updates on previously announced games. I think Disgaea Complete Edition, Disgaea 7 or something, was like one of the larger announcements. And obviously there's a reason for that. And I think it has to do with potential marketing issues or a direct or something like that. But I mean, even if you look at, July, like it's a pretty good month. Like you've got Tony Hawk, you've got Donkey Kong, you got Shadow Labyrinth, and then you have WWE. I mean, those are 4 interesting titles at the very least. which is a better output than you saw with the initial Switch month after launch. So, there's definitely quirks to it, but I think things are just going to get better as the system goes on, with firmware updates to address some of the issues. I talk about in tomorrow's video, potential things that they can do and change along the way. But, overall, I'm very satisfied with the system. I've been playing it a lot and it's fun.
Yeah. After a month so far, it's funny. I'd say it's been a lot of Mario Kart World and then a lot of GameCube stuff so far. Like it's been the two. If I looked, it's probably those are the two things I've been putting most time into, and then occasionally just checking out games almost in that benchmark kind of feel. Although you played all the way through Cyberpunk, didn't you? Did you finish it, or are you still like?
I'm on the last mission. I just haven't completed it yet.
Right.
But yeah, I think some of the fun has been the checking out the backwards compatibility stuff. That's been a pleasant surprise, honestly.
I think it's because none of us really thought that Nintendo was going to pull off backwards compatibility to this degree.
Right.
And you're right. It is funny because we got the Switch 2. All right, fire up the Switch 1 games. But
yeah,
how long did we go through the Switch 1 generation and we're like, this thing is crunchy looking. This thing is struggling. It's got Vaseline effect on it. And now we're asking for updates to the Switch 1 games because this thing clearly can do way more with even that through the backwards compatibility layer. Or like he raised you do docked mode and handheld mode basically, with the Switch 2 to get 1080p, and some games are already at 1080p, and they look great on it. So it is funny. That's been such a highlight that most people out there are still playing Switch 1 games on the Switch 2, and maybe even I think revisiting for the first time. Maybe.
I mean, I picked up Tormented Souls because it was cheap, and I'm having fun with it. It's a good game.
Just go fire up the Switch 1, see how it runs there.
No, I haven't.
That thing's disgusting looking to you now, isn't it?
Switch 1. I don't want to play anything on that ever again.
Look at this disgusting thing. Oh man.
Yeah.
There's a video I was gonna check out with the Switch 2 dock because I did the disassembly on it, and I've been thinking about the dock a bit more when it comes to Nintendo pushing firmware updates for it to do more. Because I do think the dock can do VRR, and I think there's a way that we can kind of prove it, and people have already been floating this. I think some of you even tried it, because it turns out the Switch 1 dock works with more things than just the Switch 2. And I'm going to figure that out.
The Switch 1 dock?
The Switch 2 dock works with more than just the Switch 2.
Okay, you said the Switch 1 dock.
See, they're saying 1 and 2. It's all over the place here. But the Switch 2 dock, I think it works with other devices, and you just have to wire it up in a certain way to get it to work.
Oh, okay.
I think you could force VR through it. So I think there's like a whole bunch of stuff, even because the first month, obviously, there's been discussion around the screen quality.
Right.
I think that's something Nintendo can fix through an update. I think the dock stuff they can fix an update. So like we're kind of going through some growing pains with it as well in the first month.
No, we talked about that. I had MVG last weekend. One of my scheduled videos was MVG and I talking about if they can improve things like with the screen ghosting and stuff, because I didn't fucking know like what I was. So I figure, I'll have this developer asshole come on. Tony Hawk 3 and 4, there's an early access version.
There is. Is it out now?
You could pre-order it. I'm downloading it now on the Switch too. I get it the 8th.
Okay.
So that'll be a video for this week.
That'd be good. Yeah, I'm interested to see how it runs on the Switch. It should run pretty well because on the Steam Deck OLED plays Tony Hawk 1 and 2 at 90 frames per second.
Yeah, I would assume at least 60 on this.
Yeah. That was the thing with Switch 1. I remember it was disappointing because it comes
30.
out as 30 frames. That's like, this is the N64 days all over again. Nah, that's not happening. Here we go. Let me go through some of these. This is B2 Collect says, thank you for your content and dedication. Shout out to B2 Collects.
It's very white teeth. That is a Colgate smile right there.
Agent Redbeard says Shredder's Revenge is lit on the Switch too. No more lagging, just smooth Foot Clan kicking. Ass kicking.
What? You said ass.
No, I said as.
You said as.
As. Yeah. As. Yeah, dude. Those are Z's. Oh, no, they're S's. Well, I said as. Want to see if I get Sean to react. 91 Gamer Boy says, I just picked up a Steam Deck a couple of weeks ago, but I keep going back to Switch 2. It's just nice to just jump into games. It's been nice to see enhancements on Switch 1 games. That's what I'm saying. I think
he was in my stream. He did well in the Mario Karts.
I just think a lot of people were caught off guard by how good the backwards compatibility is. And I think to a degree Nintendo downplayed it. So it's a good surprise. But yeah. I think so far the Switch 1, the month 1 for Switch 2 has been good, but I'm still I'm waiting for this DK Bonanza. I'm waiting for the date for Metroid Prime. I feel like Metroid Prime 4 is, I know it's a Switch 1 game like you mentioned,
but it'll hit hard. Yeah, especially with the graphical enhancements, mouse controls and stuff. There's gonna be a lot of fun stuff to fuck around with that. And then if you could date that before a direct and then you drop a direct, then because I think this direct is gonna have a ton of shit. I think they held back quite a bit,
pile in the third parties and get going. What about you? Drag X Drive? Big game there. Yeah.
Okay. Not playing Drag X Drive.
That was something that did come up during the Q&A with Nintendo saying that they wanted to also be able to focus on shorter development cycle games. Drag X Drive is that, but it's just, unfortunately, it's not something that I look at and go, this looks awesome. It's something like this looks tedious.
This looks like a strange thing to make. This looks like a game that like a third party would make.
I mean, I'm gonna pick it up at $20 and try it for an hour and probably
I don't think I will.
That was it. No, I bet you will, and we'll play a few games online, and you'll probably scream at the camera or whatever. Game chat will just be you cutting out.
I did buy a shitty camera to attach to the top of the Switch 2.
I should find the cheapest camera on Amazon and plug it in and see how it does.
Well, I bought a bunch of Switch 2 accessories because I know Wood is going to make that video, but he hasn't thought of it yet. So I bought a ton of Switch 2 accessories off Amazon, from things that I think could be cool to things I'm just like, what the fuck are these? And I'm going to make a video probably for this weekend on that.
I need the cheapest USB-C camera. The cheaper, the better.
Well, this is one that you could plug into the top of the Switch 2. With the USB-C port, and it just sits up there.
I see a $10 USB-C camera.
But would it sit though?
It's supposed to sit on top of your monitor, so I guess so. The cheapest one we got.
John did that video. Well, I mean, that's fine.
This is where Radberry says, hey, you feeling good about a direct this week or after DK? Praying for Metroid Prime 2 and 3 before 4 comes out. Great podcast as always. I already told you it's going to be on Wednesday the 9th. And you're going to see me from the beachside balcony breaking down a direct.
Hopefully a shark comes and eats you while you're doing it.
You'll see people walking behind me on the boardwalk while I'm breaking down a direct.
They're looking at you like a fucking weirdo. Are you going to Jersey Shore?
With that, no, I'm going somewhere else. You think you think with the current TikTok crowd, that's what they'll do?
I mean, that's what I do when I see the TikTok crowd.
This is Rufflemut says someone did a whole podcast via Switch 2 game chat. Did they? Who did that? That's interesting.
Is it like a big podcast or a small podcast?
I guess you could do that. You could capture. You'd have to get audio here. You'd have to get separate audio for me, but I could capture everyone else and I don't know how that'd work.
Yeah, the question isn't whether you can, it's whether you should.
Yeah, was it like any? Oh, it was GVG. Well, there you go.
Oh, that's clever. That's clever.
Probably. It was probably good, and there was good vibes for the show.
Interesting. That's a fun idea. Yeah, I was gonna say, how's it look?
Let's see if I can find it. Is it a live stream or a video?
That'd be really impressive. They did a live stream out of it.
Yeah, I don't think it was a live stream, so it's gonna be a video. I'm looking. Tests.
Yeah, it's probably if you go over to Japan.
Is it the 1 week of Switch 2 discussed in game chat?
Oh,
This is an
what was
hour
it?
and a half video.
Wow, they kept it going.
I mean, it's not terrible.
Oh, wow.
I'll put it
There
in.
you go. We're gonna move from StreamYard. We're gonna move to Game Chat.
Yeah, the sound is weird. It's very panny. Like
Oh, like goes between both ears,
depending
like
on
back and forth. Yeah.
depending on who is where, because like John is on the left hand side, and so he's coming out of my left. Miraloof, who I'm not familiar with, is kind of more towards the middle, and so it's kind of coming in the middle. And then Steve is on the right, so Steve is coming out of my right headphone.
That's a clever idea. You do.
I mean, it's not. I mean, considering some of the fucking podcasts that are on YouTube that people are, dead ass with, like it's not terrible. Like it works.
I need no. You know what I need? I need a USB-C webcam from like 10 years ago.
It'd probably be the same.
I need like the
quality as that Piranha Plant one.
Yeah, I need like an old USB-C one. I wish I could find one from 10 years ago. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
there are some really cheap ones though. Oh, AliExpress! I got to AliExpress for it. It's probably like a $4 one.
eBay.
I need to
find
be
an
really
old
cheap.
one. Well, yeah, but you can find an old one that way.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Well, the thing I got has very questionable reviews, but I just added it to the cart, and we'll see.
240p webcam.
I didn't even look at like the specs of it. I was just like, okay, add to cart. That's cool.
Wonder if I get a Vita camera to work on the thing. PSP camera.
Maybe.
I think we're all done here. Let me go around. Sean, where can everyone find you?
You can find me on RGT85. I made a very fun video about console wars today because, I like to piss people off sometimes. Tomorrow's video is the 1 month video. It's like 20 minutes long of me just rambling. I don't really know what's coming up this week. Tony Hawk review will be up, obviously, because I'm getting the early expensive edition copy. And be on the lookout for more live streams on the second channel. That was fun. I also have a podcast over there. I will drop a link to it in the chat, or John will drop a link to it in the chat. So you should check that out.
There it is. Go ahead and type that whole thing into the search engine bar.
Does it not click? Does it not click?
Is it? I don't know. I'm over on YouTube right now. I have to look.
Yeah, I'm in StreamYard.
I assume it is. Evan, what about you? Where can everyone find you?
You can find me on socials, YouTube, Twitch at Kimmerich Project. Tabletop stuff. I'm hopefully going to be able to get back into the swing of just making videos again. I'm trying to figure out how to do, as always, that a little bit more efficiently. So should be good.
Okay. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. We'll be back next Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll see you guys then.